folks, how you doing? It's been a while. If you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'll explain what's been happening. But first, I'm going to invite you to join me on a wee adventure. It's supposed to be record-breaking temperatures over the next couple of days, but you can probably hear from the wind going across the front of the mic there. I'm watching it wiggling about on the top of the camera. That it's pretty breezy, it's quite windy. So I'm going to leave the bottom of the glen here and I'm going to hike up into the hills. I'm not going for the summits, it's too windy actually tonight for summit camping, but I'm going to go up into the high ground and get some cooler conditions. So invite you along, and then towards the end of the video, for those that are interested, I'll give a wee update on life and times, what's been going on, and the reason for the hiatus over the last few weeks, the reason for the dearth of videos. I'm just going to finish my tea, shoulder this rucksack, and we'll get up the hill. These little pack rafts are great fun and they're very useful. They're great in Scotland for these small bodies of water, but they are quite ungainly. Let me just wipe that lens a bit there. Is that better, or have I made it worse? I've pulled into this wee bay, folks, for a wee rest. It's quite windy out on the water today. It's a glorious day though. There's a red weather warning for parts of England today and an amber warning for parts of Scotland. Actually, I'm in the area that's got the amber warning, but it's certainly cool enough here. Trying to stay in shot, but it is pretty windy. It's the wind that's keeping me cool. I was chatting to the camera, the GoPro, a minute or two ago when I was coming up that section of the loch there, saying I'm heading across to this bay here where there's a relatively flat, grassy area that I've camped before. So I've picked something relatively easy today, partly because of the weather, but mostly because I don't want to be too far from home, and I'll explain the reason for that once we get the camp set up. I'll have a wee chat tonight. I hope it's not going to be too windy over there and I'm able to chat to the camera a wee bit. Although I would like some breeze, because I'm just looking in behind the camera there and there's a fair swarm of midges. Anyway, we'll get across there and we'll get the camp established, then we'll have a wee chat maybe after my dinner. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear me above the sound of the wind, folks, but I'm heading towards that beach over there. There's two little beaches with a tiny little island in between them, which is not visible from this low angle on the water. But there's some flat, grassy land there that will be perfect for a tent pitch for tonight. Quite windy today. reducing the temperature a little bit for me. It's quite a hot day. And keeping the bugs at bay too. Absolutely love this little corrie, a little open corrie. Now I'm talking about it, you can't see it. I'm looking straight into it. Shall I spin round again? That's where I'm heading. Spin round a bit more. Is that about it? Can you see it over my shoulder there? Don't want to lean too far over, folks. These pack crafts are very stable, but I'm sure it'll have its tipping point, so I'll lean over a bit. Hear the wind coming over the tops. Good job I've got my strap on there. Okay, let's sitting out in the middle here, worried away by the wind. Let's pull in. See if we can find a wee tent pitch for the night. There's a little burn flows down through this open corrie into Loch Skene here, and it's always been my source of drinking water. I do have a little bit of water with me, but I've got my filter so I can drink the water out of the loch if I need to. Especially if I filter and boil it, it'll be pretty safe. But I can see what I think might be, there's flashes of silver. Talking in riddles today, folks. It's a while since I've chatted to the camera. I can see flashes of silver in the stream bed, and I'm guessing that it's water, although it could be the sun reflecting off mica or something like that, but I think there might be a wee bit of water in that burn. Whoa! Oh, we're going backwards. Well, that was a bit of fun. That would have been very challenging in my Canadian canoe. I wasn't trying to fight the wind there, I wasn't trying to make any progress, I was just keeping the boat pointing into the wind and letting the waves, the rollers, just roll underneath the boat and out the other side. Well folks, the wind has certainly died down a bit. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. It's going to get hot. The only saving grace is it might be too hot for the midges. I'm not totally sure about that. There's a lovely wee grassy bit here. The spot that I usually camp is just up in behind you there, but it's looking like it's in longer grass. The sheep have not been eating enough. I'll do a wee bit scouting about. I wouldn't normally put my tent quite so close to the water. If the wind changes, there's not a huge fetch on this loch, but if the wind changes and it brings the water up this way, I could have a wet sleeping bag. I think I'm going to take my chances here, folks. I'm going to camp right on the edge of the loch tonight. Probably not the best practice, but I think I'll be safe enough. I want the wind, the breeze coming off the water to keep the midges away. My first job, there's obviously been geese here, so my first job is to clean up my campsite before I put my tent up. Perfect tool. Give my ankles a wee spray, try and keep the ticks at bay. You might have noticed that I just jumped in the water there when I came into land. The shoreline of the loch, it's quite difficult to get in and out the boat for filming, so I have a dry pair of trainers that I hiked up here with, and then put these old ones on, and so warm today that it was easy enough just jumping in and out, to be honest. So I've got wet feet, but I do have dry socks and dry shoes to put on later. Although I've got a feeling in this heat everything's going to dry off pretty quickly. I just wanted to do a little bit of filming from the shore, so that from the loch side, so that you could get an idea of the scale of the landscape. Pretty lightweight sleeping bag tonight, folks. I don't know what this evening's low is, but I think probably in the 20s. This is a Vango sleeping bag. I usually manage to break it out once or twice a year, so it's getting an airing tonight. pointing into the sun there, folks. Just showing you the shadow creeping down the hill. I won't be able to climb into my tent until that shadow reaches me. It's pretty warm. It's actually just perfect sitting outside with the wind. There's a wee bit more than a breeze. Like I was trying to say there, the wind is it's a wee bit more than a breeze, but it's definitely keeping me cool. And when that shadow creeps down the hill and passes the tent, that'll be the time to climb into my sleeping bag. I might just unzip the sleeping bag tonight. But first, I've got the washing up to do. And then I'm going to have another cup of tea, stay hydrated in this hot weather. Morning, folks. The sun's just breaking through. It's just back at 6 o'clock in the morning. Been up for a wee while, got my sleeping bag packed away, got the sleep system sorted out. Going to get the kettle on and have a cup of coffee. Perfect temperature this morning, quite windy again. It was windy in the night, but I slept well. The wind kept the temperature down, I think. So we're going to get a wee bit of breakfast on the go. I hope you can hear me with the wind. I'm going to get some breakfast on the go and then packed up and out of here. There we are, folks, back on the water. Seems I'm wind assisted this morning, which is a bit strange because the wind is supposed to be coming from the south today, but I think I'm getting turbulence from the corrie behind me, so once I get out into open water it might be a different story. The camera's at a wee bit of an angle there, it's just perched on my rucksack. What I'm going to do, I'm going to let the wind take me across the loch at a traverse to the far shore, and then if the wind does change I can just hug the shoreline and maybe get a wee bit of shelter so I'm not paddling directly into the wind. It's just a wee bit after 7 in the morning, folks. It didn't take long to break camp today. So I hope you've enjoyed this wee video, folks. I think I'm just going to wind it up when I get to the takeout down at the bottom of the loch here. I'll keep the camera rolling for a wee while, have a bit of chat on the way down the loch. It was a wee bit turbulent out there for a wee while, folks. I had to work a bit when I was out in the middle of the loch. It's not a big body of water, but the swell was quite considerable. I'm not far from shore now. I've got about, I don't know, half a kilometre, maybe a kilometre to go. It's deceptive, but I'll just hug this shoreline. So this is a hanging valley that I'm in. So just as I thought, once I'm away a bit from the hills, I've got a headwind now, which is quite odd because the wind further up the loch is pushing these rollers down the way, but I'm paddling into a headwind now, although it's not particularly troublesome, but it's making for a very choppy water. Very difficult to judge where the waves are going to come from. So I recorded a wee piece of camera in the tent last night, folks, talking about Mo and the reason why we haven't been out and about much. But I'm just going to record another wee bit just in case the footage last night was no use, because it was pretty windy up there. So basically what I was saying was Mo was taken unwell. We were across, Mo had a meeting in Dundee, we were in Dundee, and I was doing some of the hills in the Angus Glens during the day while Mo was going to her meetings. Anyway, she got worse, so we scooted for home. And then there seemed to be a sort of mild recovery, but she still wasn't right. We had some American friends over and she powered through. She's a real trooper. But in fact, she had appendicitis, although it was diagnosed as a tummy bug. Well, the short story is her appendix ruptured and she had a massive amount of abscess in her tummy which had to be drained, so a fairly lengthy stint in hospital with lots of antibiotics. And then she was allowed home, but still with this drain in, so, and quite poorly, not able to do very much at all. She managed to start eating again, but it was basically eating and sleeping, and more sleeping than eating. So the energy levels were very low, and I was pretty worried for a while. But don't worry folks, don't fret, she's all good now, more or less recovered. The drain has been removed, so she had another procedure to get that taken out last week, and she's resting up at home now. I know she's getting better because I was getting under her feet, and she threw me out for a night to go and make a wee channel update to tell you good folks what's been happening. So she's got another hospital appointment in about a week and a half, and hopefully we'll get good news then, and no further complications. We might get a little bit of summertime. We might be able to get away in the van. So that's a shortened version of the story, just in case the footage that I recorded last night is not usable because of the wind noise. Right folks, there's a takeout just in front of me, 100 metres or so. There's another one about 400 metres down, but it's going to be in the wind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this sheltered bay where it'll be easier to get the boat out of the water. And I'll just collapse the boat, tie it to the top of my pack, and I'll get down the track back to the car, away up the road, and see how Mo's doing. Tilt that camera a wee bit. So I'm just going to wind the video up here folks. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I look forward to getting back to you in the not too distant future. I said that the last time. I hope I'm not tempting fate saying that, but I do plan to get out and about a wee bit. But the priority is to get Mo back to full strength again, so you might have to bear with me for a wee while. Where are we now? We're about just past mid-July, so there's a bit of summertime left yet. We'll get that van on the road and get away someplace, take the cameras along. Oops, there's a submerged boulder there that's just sticking up enough to take the bottom out of my boat. Right, I better concentrate here folks. I've got to weave in through these rocks, get the boat out of the water. So thanks as always for tuning in, it's very much appreciated. And I'll get back to you again soon. Bye for now.